Great. So let's begin this conversation. And yes, it is a conversation for Robin and me to share and for you to be a part of too. We may have time for Q&A, but we're just gonna kind of let this flow. I would say one of the gifts of doing training with Robin over the last year, it'll make me almost cry, is is coming into presence, coming into a different level of being present. Wow, it's really hitting me right now. Um, yeah, I'm very moved by that. It's a big part of the training that I've done. It's been a big part of the training with Robin, but the training I've done as a dancer for the last 40 plus years is really becoming present with what is here. And I've done that through my body. I help people do that with and through their bodies in my coaching and group programs. And I've incorporated not only energy healing, which I've been doing since 2008 as a practitioner, namely through the Body Talk system, but also in recent years, I've incorporated human design. And I think these technologies are incredible ways to come to our isness. I was going to say our true self, but Robin and I just had a conversation about that prior to this and how the ego can get involved and want to get it right and want to be true. But there's something about just being that I find all the work I am drawn to supports. And as a performer with that history, that immediate presence of just being, I knew whenever I got into my head when I was performing, it would fall apart. When I'm coaching, when I'm doing healing work, I can feel it. And then now human design has given me this other tool, not only to understand myself more deeply, but also to be able to work with anyone, my clients, my family, my loved ones. You know, you do kind of do that nerd out thing, Robin. I'm sure you did this too, where it's just like you want to run everybody's chart. And then like someone's talking to me, I'm like, God, she's got to have gate 22. She is so darn graceful. Like the way she's managing this, or, you know, like, wow, this person must have 38 or 39 because they are provoking. And I think, you know, knowing all of this information and looking at well over 100 charts over this last year, the two biggest gifts have been compassion and integrity. And last month I did a work on decision making, which is the recording of that is in my Brilliant Creatives community portal. But as I was talking to Robin, because she has a training coming up that actually starts, this next cohort starts this Sunday. When I was talking to Robin about this work, those were the two words that came up immediately: having more compassion and living with integrity. Always first towards self, and then really beautifully towards other. And it just, you know, the way Robin teaches this and the different tools that come in, you know, Robin, your history as someone who's done a lot of body work, you've been on your deep journeys, very, very spiritual in your practices too. It was like, yay, I found a teacher and a friend and a colleague that I really have landed with. So I just wanted to start with that. For those of you who don't know me, if you're new, I've been a student of Robin's for the past year. I have a coaching and healing practice, and I have a career as a professional dancer. And this is just another facet, another part of the fractal of something I love. So I'd like to introduce Robin, who, as you know, has been a teacher and a friend, and also just is an expert in this work. The way she works with a chart, which is not just a chart, it's a, you know, I don't want to reduce us all to a chart. It's like a design portal. It's a space to see yourself, witness yourself even, and be in relationship to this design of you, just like I'm in relationship to this physical body. I wouldn't try to bend my elbow in a strange way because it just doesn't work that way. And so we can look with, I mean, I don't know, it could maybe in the matrix, but we can work with our charts and come into this deeper understanding. So Robin has, as you can see in her background, she's written 4 books on this topic, and she's just Wonderful. So Robin, that's my introduction to you. Is there anything more you'd want to say? Or just, I would love to also hear if you want to say anything about who you are and also how you eventually landed with human design through your vast journey of personal development.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. First, I want to say how I met you,
Oh,
which was Michelle and I were in a mindset training together. And she said was there, I don't know, there's 150 people in the training, 200, I don't know, tons of people. And she contacted me and said, "Hey, I'm coming to Maui. Can I meet? Can we meet?" So we met on the beach in Maui. Yara was there. It was like so lovely to meet you. And Michelle was interested in human design. So I did your human design. We worked with you with your human design, and then you saw the impact it had on you, and you started inviting me to give sessions to your clients with you. So
yeah.
Michelle would be on the Zoom call with me while we did sessions with her clients, and it dramatically helped you with working with your people.
100%. And I can say even, a year into the training, because that was over a year ago, we met in Maui, I think 2.5 years ago, credits to Tim Pham, who's on the call, who was also in that mindset training group. But yeah, when I look at someone's chart and I get every person's chart if I can. So, I did Robin's foundational training. I'm in the advanced training now. And I had a new client come in just last month, and just by looking at her chart, I could coach her and help her with her healing so much more quickly. It didn't take forever to try to kind of get somewhere. So yes,
Yeah.
it
So just
makes
just to
a
give
huge
you a
difference.
so then off of that, I'll tell you my backstory, which is I was a body worker, then I became a psychotherapist, and somewhere in the middle of that, and I was doing a lot of spiritual practices, worked with Byron Katie, did a lot of various different things. And if you looked at my chart, you would understand why. Um, but I was introduced to human design in 2004, and Yara and I both had sessions, and we discovered a difference between us. We'd done lots of work on ourselves. That was our whole world was transformational. And yet we
And
we had a
Robin,
place.
so Yarrow is Robin's wife for people who don't know.
Yeah. So that was 2004. We'd been together since uh what was that? 1991. 1991. So we'd done a lot of work together, a lot of therapy, and we were great. And we had this one place where we experienced difference with each other that we could not reconcile. And when we had our first human design sessions, it was like, oh my gosh, we are different. We are thinking we should be like each other when we are actually different. And that was a big opening to, oh my gosh, the world. I can see I can see the relationship through a new light. And it brought compassion and understanding of how we operated. I get up in the morning, I'm ready to go. I go all day long. Vera's like, "I'm just going to lay here a little bit longer." And I'm like, "Don't be lazy." She's like, "Stop being a workaholic." So but this shone a light that gave us some perspective on how we best operate. So she could support me in my activity. I could support her in her need for more rest and a different way of operating in the world. So we stopped judging each other. I get chills with that. That's like the number one thing in human design. We begin to differentiate and see how we're different. And in that, there's an automatic kind of compassion that arises with that.
Yeah,
And
there's
go ahead.
you go, Robin.
So long story short, I started bringing it to my clients, my psychotherapy clients, and it had a radical impact on how I worked with people and how I saw them. I didn't realize it, but I was still kind of in a blindside mother blame place. Even though I was a feminist psychologist, I still was like holding the parents responsible for the kids. And I'd have a projector client and she'd say, "I wasn't seen by my mother." And I'd be like, "That is really bad." I would join with that story. And when human design came in, it was like, yeah, of course you weren't seen by her. That is your chart. That's That's understandable. Now, how do we work with that energy? How do we empower you with that rather than have you living a life of a victim because of that story? So it turned my work on a dime. At some point I had everybody, I ran everybody's charts because I got so much information. It was so supportive to the work we were doing. Eventually, I let go of the psychotherapy and just moved straight into human design sessions, coaching. But I found that this knowledge was so big and I couldn't touch enough people by myself. So I started writing books and I started educating therapists, coaches, healers to use human design in their work. So that's how I started the school for human design, Awakening Through Human Design. And that's how Michelle ended up in my training.
Yeah. And I would say, there's a real importance you can hear in this choice of words of awakening through human design, which is Robin's website, right? Now awakeningthroughhumandesign.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that's very different, it looks like a lot of people actually, they have their profiles and their types on here. So people are familiar with this work. But, it is based on your birth time. And I've had a handful of astrology readings throughout my life, but I kind of never knew what to do with the information. And I found that human design has this practicality to it. For me, it was, oh, great. Now I know how I make decisions. I ask people to ask me yes, no questions. Like my assistant is a manifester. I send her a list of questions to ask me. Cindy, who's on here, is a projector that I work with. I send Cindy a list of questions to ask me. But not only that, this awakening process, it's I would love to hear, Robin, what more you have to say about your choice. If you can share something about your choice of those words and using it as awakening, and maybe you can even, yeah, maybe even if you want to introduce relational presence a little bit, which is a component of how you actually train people with this work as well.
Yeah, so I'm actually writing an ebook on this, Human Design and Awakening. And in human design, we understand that everyone is perfectly designed, right? The stories we tell about ourselves, the stories people tell about us, mm, that's all ego activity. So we're looking for a place where we understand our our whole self, where we're in a witness to all the activity, but not identifying with it. So, for instance, let's see how I can talk about this. There's an understanding, if you look at some spiritual paths, that we're already awake, just like we're perfectly designed. We're already awake. We've just covered ourselves up. In human design, we say we've been conditioned to believe we're someone we're not. In the Buddhist tradition, they say it's a matter of mistaken identity. Not being awake is a matter of mistaken identity. We're identifying with our ego. I know I'm kind of getting out there right now. So let me just bring it back here a little bit. What we're doing is we're waking up to who we truly are and allowing the light that we are, the unique spark that we are, to have its life in the world. It's not a matter of trying or efforting or doing. It's a matter of allowing who we are to show up and shine and offer what we're here to offer. How's that, Michelle? Am I missing something there?
No, that's great. My open head is just like like all kinds of ideas and listening to you. I would love it. I'm wondering if well, I'll introduce this, my experience with relational presence, which I learned through the training. Um Maybe you could say more about what that actually is, but as I've used it, we've used it in my retreats, I use it in my one dance sessions, and online when I do them in person. Everybody loves it. Like people are instantly also seen. So Robin has introduced me to this practice called relational presence. Um, as part of the training, we have it every other week as an optional component of the program, and it does really reinforce being able to sit back and see yourself. It's like I think sometimes when people come to this work, it's like we're hungry for information about ourselves, which is natural. We want to know about ourselves. But I think there's something in the way that I've worked on with it or on it through you or with you is we also sit back. So is there more that you can say about
Yeah.
relational presence in the work?
hmm So, relational presence is really an act of listening. It's entering into a listening field. So, all of you would be holding relational presence, listening for me, for example. And that gives me an opportunity to listen to myself. It's like there's a frequency of listening that we agree on. We agree to. We agree. It's like when you walk into a Zindo and you leave your shoes at the door and you leave your ego at the door. We walk into a field of respect and presence and openness to whomever is turn it is, whoever's speaking, and to ourselves. So we do that in a very pragmatic way. We can all do it right now, which is what Michelle talked about. There's so much information in human design. We almost contract to try to grab it when really we're our potential is to open to the chart and let the chart speak to us and come to us. So in relational presence, we understand that when you focus your eyes, you're actually contracting. And the screen light naturally calls us to do that. So the antidote to that is to allow your eyes to have a soft gaze and a kind of a 360 view. So you're including the back of you as well as the sides and the front. So you're opening to this expanded space. You're sitting back into space, which creates space for everyone else. Human design is completely electromagnetic. There's openness in the chart, there's definition in the chart. We're dancing with each other all the time and shifting depending on who we're with. When we sit back and open to that space, we allow both our definition and our openness. So, from that place, in the trainings, what we do is we take a minute each to let each person have a voice. So in that listening field, we see what wants to come through. We're listening to ourselves in this amplified field. We don't always know. Part of what we're doing, and Michelle and I will talk about this more, is we're making a turn back towards ourselves. Our attention particles have been out. Am I doing okay? What are they thinking of me? How do I look? Oh, we're way out there. So we're coming back to the power that we are, the knowing that each of us has.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's something, I mean, I think this is also why I resonate with you, Robin, is because you have that embodied experience. So not only is it, you know, information you can take in on a mental level, it's really practicing the embodiment of being with yourself and of being with other people. And I can say, since doing this work, and I'm part of an advanced cohort that I've known some of these people for over a year now. And I go in that room and I'm like, oh, yeah, that person is definitely going to feel like that. They're definitely going to bring that kind of energy. And maybe in the past I would be bothered by it more or judgmental even, but I'm like, you know what? That's their design. And I think the beauty, this compassion piece is like there is no hierarchy. The last time I did a presentation on decision making in human design, someone said, "Oh, I have emotional authority. Can I change that?" I was like, "No, it's perfect." And that's something I learned from Robin too. It's like, this just people when they come into my life and if they allow me to, if they have their birth info and I can plug them into my software, it's just like, "Oh, wow, look at this." And there's real beauty in it. Oh, look at like, there's just these different aspects that we all have, and we can accept those. So that's been a huge gift. Robin, I'm curious if you want to we could go through some of these bullet points.
Yeah,
Um,
before I do that, let me just say again, coming back to relational presence and why it's so foundational in our human design discovery process. One thing is in human design, if human design were a game, the way to win the game is to get a motor to your throat. Uh, Michelle has that. Any of the manifestors or manifesting generators on the call start off winning the game. When we're around them, we are more empowered than when we are on our own without that. So when we get into a group, you'll find some people will talk all the time. Some people will feel entitled to talk, and some people with open throats will be trying to be heard and trying to talk and taking up space to be heard. So what we do is we give everybody an equal time to have their voice. Human design is about having a voice. That's how we manifest in the world as humans, through our voice. So that is a piece of the relational presence, is making sure each person has a voice and that we're not prioritizing content over connection. So when your time is up, you stop. It's not, oh, I have to get this last thing in. Oh, so one person doesn't take over. Everybody gets their time and something magical happens in that container. The second thing I want to say is that the people, and there's a couple of people on here who are in the training, what happens is we bring this relational presence to the sessions we give. So we enter a listening field with our clients. We're listening to them, we're listening to ourselves, and we bring that like tuning forks, we bring that opening for them to listen to themselves. Because the way we look at human design, it's not about our revelations or our information for you. It's what your revelations for yourself. It's the client's awakening that we're interested in. We don't know what's going to touch you, what we're going to reflect that's going to open something for you, that's going to turn on the light for you. So that's where the relational presence brings us into a different dimension, out of our heads as the transactional piece, into a exponential connection, us to them to the chart, us to the chart, us to the field. It goes exponential. It opens into a different vortex.
yeah. And as an artist, I have to say, I love that because it's that space of play and creativity. And I'm looking at my friend here who I've done many craniosacral sessions with, and I feel like that's what we do there. It's like there's really specific information you can get from knowing your chart. And then you can just sit back and start to, you used this word earlier, appropriate for me, Robin, you start to dance with it.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a reason I'm continuing beyond a year. The gifts that it's given to me, and that, when I see, oh, okay, someone here has a fourth line profile, you're a 4/6. We would right away go to that and be like, okay, how do like you're finding opportunities, relationships through your existing network, perhaps, probably really, really works for you. I wonder, does that work for you? So there's immediate things like that, like seeing someone who has a 2 in their profile. I'm just looking at folks here. Diana, do you get enough alone time? So how's your hermit time? Kago, how is that functioning for you? And as you get to know a chart more, there can be these different conundrums. Like even Robin, your sister, I think, what is she, a 4? Is she a 4/2?
Two,
Or
four,
two
yeah.
four, 2/4? But she has that gate that's all about community, right? Is that correct? And do you want to say some stuff about Heidi with that?
Well, Heidi is a deeply tribal person,
Hmm.
deeply tribal, and she's a 2/4 profile. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, the 2 is the hermit and the 4 is the networker. So we have this deeply tribal person who has the unconscious of a networker. She spent the majority of her life in that network community place, not honoring the hermit. It wasn't until her child died that she was thrown into her hermit. When
Mm.
she allowed, we need both. We need both. You can't just have one or the other. They work together. You need both. As she was thrown into that hermit, she accessed a part of herself she had never accessed before. All of her energy was going out to getting approval, being connected. That was a priority. That was a kind of mechanically a drive in her. And so the shift back to herself and to that hermit time is when she began to access herself, not prioritizing the tribe over her contact with herself. So if you're a 2-4, you want to make sure you've got both in your life. You want to make sure you've got a great network, all your gifts, your job, your homes, your relationships are going to come through that network. It's crucial you have a good network, but you also need to respect that time where you're in your own world, doing what you love, connecting to yourself. That's when your true gifts are able to be seen and acknowledged and called out.
Yeah, and some like even knowing something like that and then giving yourself permission. Like myself, I'm a 6'2". I don't need to judge myself for needing alone time. I actually really like it. And I love like people would say I'm a people person, but I need my alone time. So even just knowing that and supporting that, my nephew projector who was just here visiting, he's a 6'2" splenic projector. He needs his alone time and he needs downtime. He was with two manifesting generators, myself and my sister, and we could have been like running all day long, but to honor my little 13-year-old sweetie, it's like, okay, he's a projector. And what I've learned has helped. This like really moves me because I love my nieces and nephews so much, like to help their parents know, hey, he's a projector. My goddaughter, she's a projector. Like generator parents, and they're like, why is she so lazy? And I'm like, she doesn't have a single motor in her chart. She is here to be. She is, like, and she even said, my goddaughter, she said to my mom, her grandma, she's like, Budgie, I'm not lazy, I'm just recharging. She like, she doesn't, she didn't even hear anything about this, but what I was saying about, oh, Robin and I were talking about this before getting on the call. Taylor Swift, she's a projector. And Robin, do you want to share what you found out about her?
But when you're a projector, you have an open sacral and you're taking in all the manifesting generator and generator energy around you. So 75% of the population are here to have sustainable energy. The projectors, manifestors, reflectors, not. But 75% of us are here to have that go energy, sustainable energy. The projectors, we'll just stick with that, are taking, anyone with an open sacral is taking in that energy and amplifying it. They can have more energy than anyone. It's just not sustainable. They are going to burn out if they don't take the rest. Taylor Swift gets into that auditorium. Do you know how much energy she has? It's crazy. She gets into that auditorium and she goes off the walls. She's got energy pouring out her pores. She's just like dancing and singing and relating. After one of those, after she does a gig, she takes 2 days completely flat. Doesn't talk to anyone, doesn't see anybody. She does a projector recuperation time. That's the only way she can do what she does. So if
Yeah.
you know yourself, this is one of the things Michelle and I were talking about. If you know yourself, then you know how to be with yourself in kindness rather than denigration or thinking you should be different than you are. We say human design is like a giant puzzle with 8 billion puzzle pieces. Each piece is perfectly designed. If you're trying to live somebody else's design, you suffer and humanity loses out on what you have to bring. So it matters. This matters. Like knowing who you are matters.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, and I can't tell you how many projectors I've also met. They seem to be flooding into my life in the last few months. And again, it's uh, where we're knowing that I can honor that in them. I know, oh, this person is designed to be recognized, or a manifester, seeing Larissa on here, I'm curious, like, oh, Larissa, what's your experience been of feeling like you have to go, 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 go? Being a manifester, similar thing. Manifestors also don't have that sacral energy. And at the same time, again, we don't want to generalize, because I know a projector who has three motors. And yes, he might be, I think he's kind of conditioned, and I think he goes because it's a good distraction. Knowing ourselves is not um it's not always easy.
Mhm.
But yeah, this guy I know, he's just my his wife. I'm good friends with his wife, and she's just like, "Are you serious? He's a projector?" I'm like, "Well, look, he has three motors. He's got he's there's nuance inside of all of it." So, I think it's just, this is where we can get into that depth. And again, it's not, part of me can nerd out on the information, but I would say for myself, it's this compassion and integrity. And I start to be able to feel it. And like what I was saying, in learning how to sit back, I also don't jump in as much as a teacher or as a coach. I sit back and I wait, and I really have to credit, doing this work with Robin. It awakened in me also something I know very deeply as a dancer. Starting with people lying on the floor. Sometimes we lie on the floor for 20 minutes before we move. And it's sort of like, I feel like, Robin, in working with you, it's all of that witnessing that we get to do.
Yeah, when we can witness ourselves and understand ourselves through our chart, I'll use myself as an example, then we can understand our natural strengths and our natural vulnerabilities and not make them wrong, but learn how to use them wisely, right? So most of you probably know what your sun sign is in astrology, right? We have one of the 12 sun signs. I'm a Taurus, 1 degree Taurus in astrology. In human design, our planets are in one of the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching. So my sun in human design is in gate 3. Now, gate 3 is called difficulty at the beginning. It is not an easy gate. It takes time. It's like a baby is born and it takes time to come to fruition before it can enter the workforce and enter a place where they can give to humanity at a different level. So there are many things in my chart that point to this. My spiritual path in my chart is the gate of struggle. I'm a 6-2 profile. So that first 30 years, when you have a 6 line in your chart, those first 30 years are trial and error. So I was trying and messing up a lot. So I had a difficult start. If you think of a plant that starts in soil that doesn't quite work for it, like I had a difficult start. I could make myself wrong for that. I could make my family wrong for that. I could make the town I grew up wrong. I could do a lot of things with that. But when I understood that, and I have an open identity center, so I don't know who the heck I am. So, so when you understand that, it's like, oh, no wonder I had that experience. No wonder when I start to write a book, it's challenging. No wonder. So the self-judgment drops away and the compassion comes in. That 3 is also, it's called individual circuitry. It's bringing something new to the planet. It's bringing something new. It takes time for new things to take root and be recognized and utilized. Human design is new. This is a new thing. We talked about human design 15 years ago and nobody knew about it. Now it's like happening. But I'm someone who's always going to be bringing something new. And people are going to like it or not like it, but that's part of what I have to work with and honor and respect. When I was writing my books, I had to have that gate three sun in gate three in front of me, like, go ahead, be innovative. It's innovation. Let yourself be innovative. Don't worry about what other people are going to think. But the gate three was a support for me. Our charts are a support for us. They can be a support for us. We can see where we're living the low side of something. We can see, oh, I've got mindset. Michelle has the mindset gate. Like, oh, I'm in a negative mindset. Let me look at that and shift that. Right? I'm just looking where you have that mindset. Yeah, Mercury.
Mercury, yeah.
Yeah, so you're here to talk about mindset. That that is what you're here to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Talk about mindset and what are your limitations and how are you working with your limitations and how can we shift those limitations and 60 and 3 connect to each other. That's her moon. Yeah. I mixed that up a little bit. But that's your moon is in the gate of limitations. How do we work with limitations?
Yeah.
How do we get
Yeah. So
focused?
you just
Yeah, go
focus. Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. Just like looking at I know you're looking at my chart and you're just saying, okay, and this is what happened. This is what happens. I'm seeing Jamie on the call too. We worked with your chart a lot on the retreat, and hopefully you've re-listened to that and really been able to take that information. And same thing when I worked with Robin and I got these first couple sessions I did with you, and then I did the training. It's like I go back and listen, and it makes so much more sense. Or even a friend of mine who did a session with you, it's just he's like, I've already listened to it 4 times. But one thing that actually came up this weekend, my sister and my sweet projector nephew, when they were in town, is I didn't have this understanding, but my sister, she was just it's like you're with your family, you get triggered and they know you the best. And this sister, I don't know what it is in her chart. She just knows how to push certain buttons. She's fiery, triple split, 8 defined centers. That's nerding out language. But I said, well, what have you seen in my growth? And she said, well, you seem like you've softened around my own agenda or something. And I was just thinking about that. And I was like, oh, my son is in this channel that has the sort of nickname, the Freak Genius channel. I was probably sharing information with her that she didn't ask for. And this channel, knowing that this is the biggest energy in my chart, I'm here to get to receive insights and articulate them, but it needs to be invited. Okay, so Robin's pulling up my chart.
Can't help it. So
Yeah.
this is the channel Michelle's talking about. Her sun is in gate 43, the gate of insight, and her earth is in the gate 23, the gate of articulating that insight. This is the Freak Genius channel. This is individual, just like I talked about my 3 down here is individual knowing. Michelle just knows things. She doesn't know how she knows them. She just knows them. And she's here to see things in a way they've never been seen before and articulate them, right? It's Freak Genius because she's talking about things that haven't been spoken about before. This is big medicine. If she speaks it to someone who's not ready for it, it's like they're getting medicine that they're allergic to, and they have an allergic reaction. They push her away, or they make what she's saying wrong, or they separate themselves because they can't tolerate it. It's unkind for Michelle. This is a superpower. It's unkind for Michelle to speak things unless it's to the right people at the right time with that medicine that she's got. Okay, Michelle.
Yeah, yeah, it really moves me. Just reflecting on that too, like having this information. And I love my sister. I love my sisters, my brother, my family. And just having this information, as I sat with that, I was like, oh my gosh, I I actually was the one with my 2 sisters, like, you guys shouldn't be on birth control. Like back in the day, I got them both off of birth control, started studying energy, like energy healing work. But I'm sure I said so many things that weren't asked for. So this, like, it's not kind to myself or to someone else. So it is kind of beautiful that I have this coaching platform, this healing platform. When the information is asked for, I will share it. And then the other thing too, which I've learned through my human design, Robin, if you could just highlight my sacral there, that red center at the bottom, I get a yes, no in the now. So and I've started to be able to feel that. And that's my authority. That is how I'm designed to move through my life, to make my decisions. So like I said earlier, I'll have someone ask me yes, no questions, someone outside of me, so I can respond. I'm built to respond. But just having that gift too, I think even when I was talking with Robin before this, or if I was sitting in the car with my sister, should I say this? No. I just ask. And I also have the gate of intuition too, that 57. So that's turned on for me. But I've had to learn, and I will say this too, and my friends have told me, I think I learned this also through human design. I will ask, do you want to hear what I'm thinking about this, or how would it be to hear my thoughts? Because again, this kindness, and this is the integrity of my design. So yeah, just knowing that, and just looking at my chart here with Robin sitting here with me, there's just so many pieces of this that I feel humble towards. For whatever reason, my soul chose this particular time, in what, this dimension of time, this particular place, knowing that this is based on your birth time. There is no one else like you, no one else. And to know how to honor that. And this is one technology, right? There's so many ways home. And I have a lot of tools, like I was saying, Robin in her training, relational presence is a big part of that. We haven't even talked about the essential oils. But just to know this, I feel like humbly grateful. It's And I can say, I don't know, Robin, if it correlates to working with human design, but I have been cracking open, you know, um, just over and over and over this year with love. And it does this to me, and it's not easy, but I can't deny that I feel supported on the journey, through this work, through other work, through you, through the cohort that we have. Um, So yeah, I don't know if do you have anything you want to say in response, Robin?
I love this. Like for each of us to be able to look at our chart and see, it's like seeing the sunrise. It's like seeing nature. It's like the beauty of who we are, the all of us, the whole of us. It does, when we understand it and open, it cracks us open to love and compassion. It cracks us open to, oh, authenticity. Like, yes, I'm fine just the way I'm fine with my open head and indecisions, right? I don't have to beat myself up for that. I can be curious about that.
I love my open head. I'll say one more thing. Another channel that I have, this 515 in the training, Rob, I think I remember Robin's words being something like, this person who has this channel has to do things on their own timing. And a part of me like retreated and felt bad about that. I was like, oh God, I'm the troublemaker. It's like in my business, it's like, oh, can we wait another week? Oh, can we do it right now? With my assistant, and seeing this reflection, oh, it's actually a part of my design. I can use my authority, my sacral authority, and how I navigate, but I can also accept, all right, that's just who I am. And I can see other people judge. It's like I start to see judgment existing in the world, right? And it's just like, oh, well, maybe this person is narcissistic. Maybe they are more self-centered than the average person because of their profile. Or so, this person has had affairs. They've really screwed up. Oh, maybe they're a 3-5, or like like literally people I know, I learn, oh my gosh, this person's a 3-5. Love. They're going to have to live through things. They're going to have to, and I said this to this person, with this profile, usually this person can't just read it in a book. They need to actually live it. And they need to break bonds. They need to be in that experimentation, make quote unquote mistakes. But one thing that you say, Robin, in the training is there's never a mistake. It's what did you learn? Yeah. Well, these are some of the big, huge gifts.
Do we want to take a question or two or three?
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions. I'm wondering, what questions do you have? Are there questions in the room? And then Robin, do you want to say some stuff about your training that's beginning?
Yeah, we're having the kickoff. We're having the kickoff on Sunday. And then we have a year-long training. We've just shifted to a new format. We're super excited about. Cindy, who's on the call here, is the student success manager. So she's going to make sure you are successful. Yes. And we work in small cohorts so that you're, like Michelle was talking about, it's very intimate. You learn from each other. We're seeped in a relational presence. We use the oils to tap into the transmission of the chart. We're really here to help you understand, be able to look at a chart and say, I understand this person. I can help this person see themselves. So we take you through in a very pragmatic, easy to understand way. And yet we're using all kinds of ways to access the chart. Cindy, anything you want to add to that? No. Okay. Yeah, so it's a year-long training. It's 4 weekends. The first weekend is in September, the end of September. So every quarter there's another weekend. There's a cohort you're with. There's weekly classes, Q&A, oils, relational presence that you have access to. But really it's for people who are like, I want to have the experience Michelle had. I want to take this. I want to take it for myself because it's a personal journey first and foremost. And I want to bring it to others. I want to let that understanding overflow and support people in my world, whether it's your business, your family, however that shows up for you.
Yeah. So Robin, what's the best way? Can you share what the best way is people can reach you?
Yeah, there's 2 things you can do. One is if you know you're interested, you can go ahead and I'll put in the chat the link to apply, or you can write me and send me an email. Here, let me put
And
that in.
if you're watching the recording of this and maybe not seeing the chat, just reply to any of my emails and I can connect you with Robin. And also, if it's not the time to go into a full-on training, I work with this also with all of my clients. Even if you're in my Brilliant Creatives community monthly program, it's just so awesome to have everyone's chart and be able to look at that and work with that. And people have been even asking me, Michelle, can you do more human design? Can you talk about more in our sessions? So there's that too, if you're not ready to jump and be a full practitioner. One more thing, and I know you have something to say too, Robin. I had to take my time jumping into this training. I think we talked and I was like, it's not quite the time yet. It's not quite the time yet. And Robin, knowing my design, honored that. And then and she even asked me, Michelle, do you want to make your payment now? I was like, no. And I honored do you want to make your payment in a month? Yeah. And then it was like set. There was something really just clear and simple about that. Do you want to share your thought, Robin?
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge, Michelle has been deep in a deep dive with this. If you have a yes to set up a session with her, or if you're sacral, if you have open sacral and it would feel good to you, reach out to her. She's, as you know, she's exquisite and deep and born to see and understand. And she's got that Freak Genius channel, for goodness sake. Tap into that. Let her be a support for you in understanding yourself at a new level.
Thank you, Robin.
Yeah.
So you have many opportunities to continue with this. And yeah, just trust as much as you know about your authority, trust that. And we trust your authority as well. We have two questions in the chat. Robin, do you want to address do you see those there? One from Rebecca and one from Sophia. And
Okay,
if
Rebecca, I have a question about channels. I hear there's a special challenge to having more than one channel connecting two centers. Can you elaborate? I'm not sure I understand, Rebecca. Can you share a little bit more?
it's like maybe you're looking for your unmute, Rebecca. I
There
could say
we go. There
something.
we go.
Okay.
So I've just heard a bunch of different talks by Ra or read places where he said, this person has a double channel connecting. Like, say, I have a friend who's a manifester, and she has both manifesting channels, the 3536 and the 1222. So I was like, oh, okay. Here we have one of those situations where you have a double channel connecting. What is the nature of the challenge specifically when you have to deal with two centers being connected in two different ways?
So I don't have the same perspective on that as perhaps Ra does. And again, we are developing our own database. We're not going to an external authority. Ra has what he has, and then we have what's our experience? What's our experience
Yep.
working with? Where I would go to the challenge in that, because there is a challenge, but not, I wouldn't say because they have two channels going from the emotional solar plexus to the throat, is that they have two emotional waves.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a challenge. You've got an individual emotional wave and you've got a collective emotional wave. So where are you on your wave? You're being moved in different ways. You have to wait out both of those waves. That could be a bit of a challenge. I could see that, but it's not my experience that two channels are problematic. I don't know, Michelle, have you found that?
No, I haven't. I mean, immediately I thought of the identity center connecting the throat and like how if I saw two channels there, I'd be like, wow, this person speaks from their heart. Like, let's listen and give space for that. And it's more connectivity. But I think what Robin is saying is true. These circuitry waves that someone would have to ride through could provide a challenge. But again, I wrote this in the chat. Your experience is the truth. Someone might have those two channels. Or I know someone who has the 2838 and the what's the 58, what's the 19, what is that, Robin?
1858.
18,
Yeah. And
58,
that
18, yeah.
person, yeah, it's just like they can take on struggle, and they're here to improve something for the future. And this person is working with AI and a university system and just really try like that feels like superpowers to me, those two channels connecting. So again, it would be looking at your chart and seeing what is your experience of this. And I credit Robin, and I was even watching our mastermind call from Friday, and it would be, if Rebecca, if you had those, and I don't know what your type is, how do you experience this? Can you say,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, my type is actually very similar to yours.
oh, okay.
I've got the 4323, but then on the other side, the 449. So it's the cross of explanation. And I've been getting into human design, and I seem to be really good at explaining things to people. I also have that 57 activated 3 times. So I've got a lot of intuition going on. And I even have the 5 of the 515 that you have. So there's a lot of similarities to our charts as far as that goes, but I'm seeing these things over and over again where somebody will have the 515 and the 214 coming between the G center and the sacral center. And they say, okay, well, what does that mean for me? And the only information that I have for them is that's supposed to be some sort of a special challenge to understand like how the streams, like what's the difference between them? Like ideologically, I can understand that just having, say, for instance, the 515, all right, you have one channel connecting the G center with the sacral center. So you've got one kind of energy flowing there. that's kind of going to be easier maybe to recognize than somebody who also has the complication of the 214. Well, now they've got the key and this money stuff, and they have to like try to figure out, okay, what's the difference between these two flows, between these two centers?
Mm.
You know, I just approach it from a totally different angle than that. I'm not looking for the complication exactly. I'm looking for how does this work for this person, and yeah, like I'm not quite sure how to say this, but I'm a little bit with Michelle, like, oh my gosh, how great. Let's see how this shows up in your life. Let's find out. Let's be curious about your experience and how you navigate that and what works and what doesn't work for you, rather than coming in with, uh-oh, this is scary. There's two channels here coming from here to here. Like, no, that's not the lens we're looking through.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's
okay.
more curiosity and interest and
Perspective.
yeah, it's perspective. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
Thanks, Rebecca. We're at the end of the hour, but there's one basic question down here from how can we learn how to read the chart from Tim. Robin, I'm wondering if you have to say if you can say anything briefly about that. And some of these questions I see, Sable's questions and Sophia's question up here. Some of this stuff it's in the training or it's doing an individual session to learn more about this. But Robin, do you have anything you can just say to Tim's question?
Yeah. First of all, I'm going to put a link to my first book. If you want to learn about type and strategy and the touch of authority, you can download that. Come to the training, Tim. Join the training. That is the very best way. Are you kidding me? If you want to learn about it, come. Welcome. Be welcome.
Yeah, and I saw, I have Tim's chart too. Yeah, it's just like I can see it and there's a ton of information. I feel like it is a little difficult sometimes to just like you can get basic information and start working with it, but I find that it's really great to have a practitioner or a facilitator who knows this information. And again, just like anything you do, every facilitator is going to be different. Robin has a whole directory of practitioners certified through her program, which I'm also on. And you go there and you see who you resonate with. There are a ton of people teaching this, but I resonated with Robin. So that was my yes. And I think if you honor that, but I would say you can do a general dive, look at Robin's book. But if you feel called to go deeper, there's probably some wisdom there for you that is being wants to be awakened through human design. So any closing words, Robin?
Just gratitude and thank you for being here. This is big medicine. This is medicine for compassion and differentiation and understanding. There are many different styles of human design, just perspectives on human design, just like there are many different churches, we could say, from very Baptist to Unitarian. So you just want to be smart. There's a lot of information out there. I would say, from my perspective, please veer away from anything that trashes you or makes you think less of yourself in any way, because that is not what this is about. Yes, we see the challenges. Yes, we acknowledge the conundrums, but we are not using it against ourselves. There is enough in our culture of diminishing and self-attack. So whatever we do, use it for transformation, use it for growth and awakening.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Have I said, yes, I have said everything I feel like I need to say today. You'll get one email with the recording of this. We'll have it up for a week. So watch it again, because I know through all the mindset training, a lot of which I did with Robin, there's moments when we're not ready to receive it yet, or maybe we go into a little bit of overwhelm and we can't hear it all. So it will be up for a week. Just if you want to get in touch with Robin or me, we have Robin's email in the chat, but just email me also and I can connect you with Robin. And I just want to say thank you. I think anything more that we can do to continue to awaken, like it's going to happen regardless. You know, I think it will. And it's like, if you want to make the journey maybe more fun and creative and easier and loving, more compassion, more integrity, just follow what you're called to. Your desire will never let you down. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Hope to see you again somewhere soon. Bye.